Hello vinyl community, this is Randy, back with another video. Today, March 1st, I'm going to show you some jazz records that I picked up during the month of February. So, this video is going to pretty much just be jazz records, I think. Before I start with the records, I wanted to share an update with you. I have several mono records, and I've wondered, are they going to sound better with a mono cartridge? So I had this turntable, which had been back in another room back there, a smaller bedroom, which had just the turntable and then two powered speakers, which sounded really good back there. But this cat moved into the house about 6 or 8 months ago, and that room is his room. I always close him in that room whenever I leave, so that the dogs won't be able to so that he won't bother the dogs while I'm gone. But I can't play records in there anymore because it was on a stand that was about this high, and about a week after he first moved in, I was playing a record in there and he jumped up on there. He's pretty light, but he still skipped the record some. So I guess I could get a new piece of furniture for in there. But anyway, I decided to I rarely use that room to listen to music anyway. So I got a mono cartridge, which is a Audio Technica. If you're interested in the brand, it was the lowest cost mono cartridge I could find. Because I wanted to try this out to see if mono's better. So now I've got two turntables hooked up here. This is a project turntable, like I said, that I already had back there. So it's got this Audio Technica. This is also a project turntable. Anyway, that's it for that. One other update I have: after about a year and a half or 2 years of data entry, I have completed my Discogs account. So everything is listed there now. Obviously it's an ongoing thing. There will be more records added as I go along, but the Discogs is pretty much complete. So if you're interested in that, there's a link to it on the banner on my YouTube channel page. So go in there and take a look if you have time. It's mostly all records. There are some CDs. I think there's actually about 300 CDs listed, which are really just strictly from box sets. So a lot of those really are Grateful Dead box sets. There's a few other box sets, Pink Floyd box set and some stuff like that. But it's mostly records. So you might have to be careful of what you're looking at there. But anyway, so I got some jazz records. So I've also been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately, and the thing has come up about early pressings, first pressings of old jazz records, early 60s jazz records and stuff, and so I want to try and get some early pressings of those. The Blue Note's really is extremely expensive, but there's other, there's obviously other jazz labels and stuff. So I've started looking at eBay and stuff. I've been watching First Pressing Goodness, and I feel like he's my coach. He seems like a coach on there, because he tells us about all these great finds, and he says, they're out there. Just go and get them. So I'm trying to look at eBay really mostly, and try and get a few of these older records there. I've also been watching some various YouTube videos about Music Matters pressings, the Blue Note series they're doing, and then also Blue Note is doing a new series now, their Tone Poet series. So, those are very high quality new pressings. So I'm interested to know if I get some of these older, first pressings, how are they going to sound in comparison? So I ordered this John Coltrane. So it was very exciting for me. This is a great album, which I have never had before in any format. So I very happy to get this record. This is a mono edition. This is from Music Matters. There pictures of the people. I really like this one because this is before Coltrane became quite, totally engulfed in the more free jazz type stuff. So this is really just hard bop, and also Lee Morgan and Curtis Fuller are on here, so that makes it great. I think to have a couple more horns on there in addition to John. So anyway, I got this one. So this is mono. So I have used this turntable to play it, and I tell you, I really think it is the best sounding record that I have. It's really awesome. I would like to get everything they have on Music Matters. I probably won't be able to do that, but if I ever am able to get some of these early pressings, though, I tell you, it's going to be hard to compete with that. The first one I went there to order, though, really, Music Matters, was this one, Grant Green, which is also a new Music Matters pressing. The reason I ordered that was because I already had this one. Even though these are two different covers, these are the same record. This was recorded in the early 60s, but not released until the 70s, and even then it had a different cover on Blue Note. This is a reprint from, I believe, oh boy, I can't remember what it was now. I think this is from like 2009 or 2010 maybe. This is not the 75th anniversary of Blue Note. This record sounds really good. I mean, it was just a regularly priced record, $19 I guess, or however much records were costing back then. This is on the Blue Note. It's got a 304 Park Avenue label, but so this was just a regular pressing. So I got this one to compare. These are not mono, these are both stereo. I would like to take a blindfold test. I need somebody else here to have a blindfold test. I think this sounds better. I believe it's just so subjective, and of course, obviously, I want this one to sound better, I think. It's not a huge difference to me, anyway, but I think I can see why people would prefer this pressing, because really after you listen to it for a while and become enveloped in the sound, it really is a nice atmosphere, and I understand what Ken McAuliffe says when he says you're there in the room with them, even though he says these Music Matters, you're not. It's only the original pressings, I think, or well, I'm not sure exactly what Ken McAuliffe says, but he doesn't seem to be a huge fan of Music Matters. So I got as far as the music on those, those are both jazz standard albums. They're hard bop. What am I going to say about them? They're both great. Especially that John Coltrane, though. Really, if I were introducing someone new who wanted to start listening to jazz, this would be a perfect place to start. I think it's not quite so difficult to listen to. So then I did get this Chick Corea from the Tone Poet series. I think that Brad discussed this. William now, I think is his name. These are the new issues that Blue Note is releasing. To me, it seems like this is exactly the same as the Music Matters. It's about like half the cost. So, these I think I definitely want to get, because this just sounds incredible. This is a great album. I've never heard this before. It's really just a Chick and a bass player and drummer, and it starts out a little bit avant-garde and classical sounding, but then about 30 seconds into it, they start to swing, and it's fantastic. So I really like this one. It's a great back cover. The wind blows over the lake and stirs the surface of the water. Thus, visible effects of the invisible manifest themselves. Chick, I think, a somewhat spiritual guy, so that's been great. So obviously I'm trying to get some of these original pressings. Well, I did get this Cannonball Adderley Quintet. This is a Riverside record, and I think this is the first pressing from 1960. As far as I can tell, this was not terribly expensive. I could afford this. It makes some noise, but I tell you, I got this before. I just got this cartridge installed yesterday. I got this before then. I played it on the. This is a mono, so I played it on the other turntable. There's the label, Riverside label, and then I tried playing it on the mono with the mono cartridge. Also, my neighbor was over here, and I had him listen to it too. And I think we both felt like it was noticeably better on the mono cartridge. The surface noise is not quite as bad. So this was only like, I think this was rated good or very good. So there's a lot of surface noise on it. But really, I think playing it on the mono cartridge, I think I will be able to listen to this record. So it's interesting. I'm going to keep on looking for these and hopefully find some in better shape. The cover really is not in too bad shape. The only issue I have with the cover really is that it's completely in two. But, you know, I guess I could tape it back together, but, you know, really it's fine like this. So, yeah, this is a live album, Cannonball Adderley Quintet at the Jazz Workshop in San Francisco. I guess he played for about 2 weeks there, and they recorded this. His brother, Nat Adderley, is here on this one too. So Bobby Timmons on piano. You know, once again, I mean, this is just a great, you know, I guess you'd call it a hard bop jazz record, and it does sound pretty good. So, yeah, maybe this will be the beginning of my collection of more, you know, the older ones. I think what I need to start doing maybe on eBay is looking for ones that maybe are not the Blue Note first issues, but, you know, maybe some other labels and slightly more obscure artists that might not be quite so outrageously priced yet. I think I ordered maybe at the same time. I got this very trendy record that I've seen lots of people showing lately, so I wanted to get it too, and it is great. This is actually a Japanese pressing. It's a reissue from, gosh, I saw what year it was printed, but then I think it's from like the 1980s sometime. This sounds really good. So, you know, this falls into that category too of which one, you know, do I want to start spending money on Japanese pressings? Well, this sounds excellent, and this wasn't terribly expensive even. So, boy, I would like to get more like this. I'll tell you, I've seen several people talking about this record lately, but the one thing they haven't mentioned is that the song Alfie is not on here. You know, there's no Dionne Warwick, but I mean, also that actual song, there's not an instrumental version of Alfie on here. It's Sonny Rollins playing the music that he wrote for the film, which I guess is actually used in the movie, and then that song, you know, that Dionne made famous is at the end of the movie. But, you know, if you buy this record and you're thinking you're going to hear at least that song, an instrumental version of Alfie, it's a different song, but I mean, yeah, this is great. So, very happy to have that one. Grimey's last weekend, they had this, I guess Impulse is releasing some records now from their back catalog. This is Stan Getz and Bill Evans. They're just called Previously Unreleased Recordings. So evidently the story with these is they were recorded in the early 60s and never issued, and then, you know, Impulse went back and issued them in the 70s. And I think this was the cover that they used. There were a series of these, actually, and they've re-released some of them. I didn't get them all. I started with this one. This sounds fantastic. This is a heavyweight vinyl. I mean, I think this sounds as good as the Music Matters, which was, you know, a lot more expensive. So, I'm going to start looking for more of these reissues. That they, as far as I can tell, there's going to be 3 different dates throughout the year where they're releasing a group of these records. So there was also a Stan Getz and I think Charlie Bird or Donald Byrd, maybe. Uh, 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 yeah, and a few others. So, yeah, this one is, so Stan Getz and Bill Evans recorded in the early 60s. It's really got some jazz standards on it, Night and Day, but beautiful. Evans, Funkilero, My Heart Stood Still, Melinda and Grandfather's Waltz. I'm not quite as familiar with those. But I'm a huge Bill Evans fan and Stan Getz. I mean, really, you can't go wrong with that. So, very happy day. Also, this is another. Oh no, this is not part of the Impulse thing. This is on Modern Harmonic. This was also just re-released last week. This Cal Jader, vibraphonist. I'm a big Cal Jader fan. So this is him playing some 60s songs. Yeah, I mean, there's really nobody I necessarily recognize on here other than Ray Barretto playing percussion. I've only listened to this a couple times, but I like Cal Jader so much, I'm sure I'm going to listen to this quite a bit. Oh, yeah, I wanted to show you this record. Is actually on gold vinyl. Yeah. That's a nice looking record. These Modern Harmonic records, I've gotten several of these over the past couple of years, and they have all been excellent. I haven't had any issues with any of them. So it's been good. I went to a flea market last weekend. First time I've ever been to this flea market. So there were a couple people there selling records. So I got a couple. This Herbie Hancock sextant. I meant to look up what a sextant is, but I forgot. Isn't that, I think it is something that navigators use? But I forgot to look it up. It's a very cool cover, though. This is his 1970s jazz fusion. There's a lot of Fender Rhodes on here, so that is something that I really want to start listening to more. I love the sound of a Fender Rhodes. So this record is used. You can see there's some ring wear on it up there at the top, so it's not in perfect shape, but the record itself is pretty good. There's a couple clicks and pops here and there, but for the most part, it sounds really good. So, yeah, jazz fusion. Yeah, what can I say? This is there's only 3 songs on here. I mean, this is a trippy sounding record. This is, yeah, very, I guess I would say more rock oriented than jazz, I would say. So that was a good one. I also got, this will be the last one, Return to Forever. The name of the album is No Mystery. This is fantastic. This is the rock and roll version of Return to Forever. There's no vocals on this. There's I think Stanley Clarke there on bass, Lenny White on drums, and Al Di Meola on guitar. Some of this record is interesting. Some of it sounds kind of cheesy. It almost sounds like it could be like a soundtrack for. I'm thinking it could be a soundtrack for, like, if they'd made a movie out of Knight Rider. I can imagine some of this being the soundtrack for it. But you sort of be drifting into that, and then all of a sudden you're just lost in this Al Di Meola guitar work. I mean, he just shreds on it. So yeah, this is good. I'm enjoying this one too. So that's it. That's it for the month of February. So I'd be interested to know what you think about any of these, and also about the mono stuff. It's also ephemeral. I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, there are differences. I think it sounds better. I think particularly with those older records, those mono records that had some surface noise, I think it does make them more listenable. But if you have any thoughts on that, I'd be interested to know, because maybe that's all in my head. Yeah, it's interesting. But that's it for this one. So, yeah, thanks for watching.